The Beatles' Abbey Road was released on September 26, 1969. It contains 17 songs and it's 47 minutes long, produced by George Martin. Legend has it that John Lennon was in charge of side A and Paul McCartney was in charge of side B. And the album was recorded differently than other Beatles albums, almost very modern with a master backing track and overdubs and people coming in and out in sessions rather than playing together as a band. The album cover is by Ian McMillan. You can see there's the beat. There's let's see, that's George, Paul, Barefoot Paul, Ringo, and John. Okay, Barefoot Paul. That goes back to the Paul is dead meme or saga or whatever you want to call it. That's supposed to be one of the clues that Paul is dead, along with like hundreds of other clues, but that's one of them. I like the Volkswagen Beetle there. Sounds like the band put a lot of effort into this to get it just right, and it has everything rock, slow, waltz, orchestra, the medley, secret tracks, anvils, octopuses, etc., everything. Anything you can think of, it made it to this album. In chronological order, this is the final Beatles record. However, sequentially, Let It Be will come out the next year, even though elements of Let It Be were recorded before this in the same year. This is a straight up rock album with a twinge of psychedelic in it, and I'll talk about that when we get to the songs. And Paul is the heavy hitter on this album. With if you just look at song credits now, keep in mind these are all John Lennon, Paul McCartney, like credited to Lennon McCartney. But if Paul's the singer, generally Paul wrote it, and vice versa. If John's the singer, generally John wrote it, especially at this stage in their career where they were working separately. Whereas earlier in their career they were working more together, but it was still separate. But you know what I mean. Paul is the leader with 8 songs, and John has 6. John Lennon and Paul McCartney. George Harrison has 2 writing credits, and Ringo Starr has 1 writing credit. And with that, let's get into it. The first song is track number 1, Come Together. It's 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It's a John Lennon tune. It's in the key of F major. The first chord of the song is a D minor 7, so it's probably a minor key, D minor. But it's the same. If you go look at this. Anyway, it's a moderately slow with a double time feeling to it in 4/4 time. The verse is when John Lennon sings, "Here comes old flat top, he come grooving up slowly." That's an 8-bar verse, and the interlude is the dun dun dun, shoot me dun dun dun, dun dun. It's the same as the intro of the song, and that's a 4-bar. Shoot me dun. I never knew what he was saying there, but I guess he's like whispering "shoot me," and I guess is that heroin or I don't think he means shoot me, but Anyway, the chorus is 6 bars. And there's a solo. Is there a solo in it? I don't think there's a solo. It's a verse, interlude, verse, chorus, interlude, verse, chorus, interlude, outro. The chorus, he's just singing, "Come together right now over me." It's a 6-bar chorus, so it's a pretty standard structure for a Beatles song with just verses and choruses and the interlude in it. And that's Come Together. Honestly, it's not my favorite Beatles track. It's not my favorite Lennon track. And I think it kind of gets the album off to not the greatest start in the world. But it's not a bad start. Okay? By the way, I try not to interject too much opinion into these reviews, but just what I hear. Track 2 is Something. 3 minutes and 3 seconds. George Harrison is the writer and the singer of the song. And this is generally regarded as the best song on the album, whether you're talking about John Lennon said so. I think a lot of people, this is one of their favorite Beatles songs. It's in the key of C major. It's a slow pace, and it's in 4/4 time. The verse is iconic line, "Something in the way she moves," and it's 6 bars. And it's got this like, you can hear the guitar going in the background. And then the chorus part of the song is, "Don't want to leave her now. I can da 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 da." It's 3 bars. And then this song also has a bridge. "You're asking me, will my love grow? I don't know. I don't know. It's in 8 bars, and the bridge is in a different key change. By the way, I forgot to bring up at the beginning. I have the book. The most of these songs are in this book, and that's how I was able to do like to look at the song structure, which is very helpful. But that's how I recognize there's a key change because the whole key signature changes, and it changes to F sharp minor in the bridge. You're asking me, will my love grow? There's a solo. It's a guitar solo in the song. It runs from 1 minute and 39 seconds to 2 minutes and 14 seconds. So about an average, about an average George length solo. It's a verse, chorus, bridge. There's a break in there, and then the solo, I guess, is all the part of the break, and then the verse, chorus, and that's the whole song. Something. Excellent song. Track 3 is Maxwell's Silver Hammer. It's 3 minutes and 27 seconds. It's a Paul McCartney sung song and was written by Paul. And what's interesting about this, I've been watching the Beatles get back on Disney Plus, and you can hear them trying to work through the song for Let It Be or Get Back or whatever you want to call it. But they were working on it the whole year. It's a fairly controversial song. The other Beatles members didn't really love it, and I guess they did a lot of studio takes to get to the final. It's in the key of D major. It's moderate tempo and 4/4 time, as is a lot of Beatles songs. The verse is he's singing about Joan. Joan was quizzical, studied metaphysical science in the home. It's 20 bars, and then the chorus is the bang bang. Maxwell's silver hammer came down upon his head. Do 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 do. You can see them in Get Back. They're actually hitting a hammer with an anvil. So it's quite interesting what they do to make these songs. It's a 12 bar chorus, and it's not it's probably the most controversial song on the album, and the Beatles generally, especially if you go read about the song on Genius or Wikipedia or wherever, any Beatles book, the Beatles really complained about it. It's a verse chorus outro, and that's the track. Track 4 is "Oh Darling" on Abbey Road. It's 3 minutes and 26 seconds. It's another Paul McCartney, and I like this song, especially the music and the bridge, but it's just kind of it's Paul screaming. It's in the key of A major, and it's slowly in 12/8 time, so it feels like a waltz, like 1 2 3 1 2 3. But if you look at the sheet music, it's in 12/8, which means the eighth note gets the beat, and there's 12 beats or 12 eighth notes in a time signature. So by count, it's kind of weird. But the verse is, "Oh darling, please believe me, I'll never do you no harm," and it's an 8 bar. It's an 8 bar verse, and then the bridge is, "When you told me you didn't need me anymore, well, I'm nearly broke down and cried." It's an 8 bar bridge. And like I said, the bridge is my favorite part of the song because you can hear this guitar part. When that kicks in, I just get I don't know why, I just really like it. It's like a slow arpeggiated guitar part. I would like to know if that was Paul or John or George doing that. I'm guessing it's George, but who knows? It sounds great, and it's a wonderful change in the song. The "Oh Darling" is a verse bridge, verse, and that's the tune. "Oh Darling" by Paul McCartney. Track 5 is Octopus's Garden. It's 2 minutes and 51 seconds. It's a Ringo Starr, or it's credited to Richard Starkey. It's in the key of E major. It's moderately bright and cut time. Again, that's why it feels like it's in like a march. Bum, 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 bum. But it's in 4/4 time, but it's in cut time, so you count it 1 2 1 2. The verse is a 24 bar verse. "I'd like to be under the sea, in an octopus's garden in the rain," and then this song is all verses and a guitar solo, okay? And the guitar solo is 1 minute and 34 seconds to 1 minute and 55 seconds. So it's only about 21 seconds long. It's real short. The story is Ringo wrote this song after he quit the band during I think during the White Album when he quit, and he was on a cruise, and someone was telling him a story or something like that. If you want to go read about it, it's on Genius, but it's not a great song, but it is cool that it's Ringo gets a song on the album. And like I said, it's all verses. It's verse, verse, guitar solo, verse, outro, and that's the tune. It's kind of like a happy-go-lucky, kind of plodding along song. Track 6, I Want You, She's So Heavy. It's 7 minutes and 47 seconds. This is John Lennon's big psychedelic track, and this is almost John's way of... This is his Oh Darling for the album, okay? So once he heard Oh Darling, he had to have his own track that was similar. It's in the key of D minor, and it's slowly, again, in 12/8 time, and the verses are in 4/4 time, so that's what's different. Now okay, let's talk. The verses are I want you so bad, and it kind of does this. It's a 10-bar verse in 4/4 time, with 1 bar of 2/4 time in there, but it's pretty standard in 4/4 time. The rest of the song is in the 12/8 time. The chorus, she's so heavy. And it's 6 bars changing to 6/8 time for 1 bar and back to 12/8 time. But the 1 bar of 12/8 time, 6/8 time is hardly noticeable. It's just to make it work out. But there's instrumental breaks throughout the song. There's 4 instrumental breaks where it's just they just keep playing that same riff over and over again. But John Lennon was like obsessed with recording this song. They did like, I don't know, something more than 50 takes. That's not right, but it was a bunch of takes, and instead of just using one master take, they ended up splicing different takes together, and just to get it right. And then at the end, there's an abrupt ending to the song where it just cuts off unexpectedly. But the song structure is the verse, break, chorus, break, chorus, verse, break, chorus, and then that outro with the very abrupt ending. So, he's singing about Yoko Ono and his love for Yoko Ono. And it's really just, the whole song is I want you so bad. She's so heavy. That's the chorus. She's so heavy. I want you, she's so heavy. Track 7 is Here Comes the Sun. It's 3 minutes, 5 seconds. It's a George Harrison tune. Here comes the sun, do. That's kind of like the whole song. It's in the key of A major. It's moderate tempo and 4/4 time. And that, it leads with the chorus. It's one of the Beatles songs where the chorus is first and then the verse comes. The chorus is Here comes the sun, do. And then the verse is little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. And then the bridge is sun, 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 here it comes. And that's the whole song. I generally like George Harrison songs. This one is not my favorite. I don't love it. I don't even really like it all that much. It's just a nice, bright, pleasant song he wrote in Eric Clapton's garden, I guess. And my wife really loves this song, but it's a chorus, verse, bridge, verse, chorus, outro, and that's the tune. Here Comes the Sun. Track 8, Because, and I think, is this the beginning of the second side? I'm not sure where the first side ends and the second side starts, but it might be this, or maybe this is the second song on the second half. But of course, I have a CD, which, if you have an album, then it's real clear, but I have this is an original 1988, by the way. And I believe even if this is the second half, this is the last standard track, and then after this we go into the medley. So Because is 2 minutes and 45 seconds. It's a John Lennon song, and it has a Moog synth in it by George Harrison. And what this song is Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata played backwards on piano. I guess John and he heard Yoko Ono playing it on piano, and then they played it backwards, and then that's what became the song. There's no percussion in this song. It's an unusual song. It's in the key of E major, but the first chord is a C sharp minor, so maybe this is a minor modal. Either way, it's the same. It has the same sharps in it, but a moderately. By the way, E major has four sharps in the time signature. That's how you know. It's moderately in 4/4 time. The verse is because the world is round, it turns me on. It's 10 bars. And the bridge is love is old, love is new, love is all, love is you. And it's 5 bars. And that's pretty much the song. It is a cool sounding song, I must say. And it's a verse, verse, bridge, verse. And I think there's a version of this on Love, Beatles Love, which sounds pretty cool. So that's because. Now, starting with track 9, this is when the medley starts, and like I said, basically, John wanted the half of the album to be traditional Beatles, and Paul was driving the medley part, which was putting together these pieces of songs that they wrote in India, and making it seem like one long continuous medley, and it really works. Generally, people like the medley. I like the medley. I think it's the better half of the album, even though it doesn't really make sense, but it just somehow works well. Track 9 is "You Never Give Me Your Money." This is the first track of the medley, and it's got to be the longest at 4 minutes and 2 seconds. I'm just guessing. It's Paul McCartney written, and this is the medley. So it's in the key of C major, but the first chord is in A minor 7. So again, this might be in a minor key, but basically the same. When you have a minor key, you can, like, if you listen to Pink Floyd albums, there are a lot of the songs are in minor keys, and you can really tell it's a bit more depressing or manic or however you want to describe it. But major keys just have more happiness generally to them. They sound more powerful too. It's in 4/4 time. But either way, "You Never Give Me Your Money" is it's a good start to the medley. It's an 8-bar introduction, and then the verse is "You never give me your money." It does that for 8 bars. And Paul, I can just imagine Paul sitting at a piano playing it. The verse, out of college, money spent. So maybe I said that wrong, but yeah, I guess it's like 2 different kinds of verses, right? Because it's not really a chorus. It's a verse in that "you never give me your money," and then there's a second verse is totally different, like "out of college, money spent, have no future, pay the da 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 da." It's a 16 bar, the second verse, but it's played faster. It's like it's almost a different part of the song, like a different verse. And then the break is the it's that part. The break is actually the coolest part of the song to me. It's 16 bars. I love that part. And you can really hear the guitar line cranking up to kind of like in the other song I mentioned, but and then there's the "One Sweet Dream" part of the song. "One sweet dream, do do do, is true, do 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 do. 1, 2, 3, 4, all good kids get to heaven," or whatever he's singing there. It's a 12-bar part at the end, the "One Sweet Dream" part. So it's the verse, 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 that break, and then that final verse, the "One Sweet Dream" part. And then it's an outro, and it's a smooth segue into "Sun King," which is track 10. It's a John Lennon tune, 2 minutes and 26 seconds, and it's in key of E major, 4/4 time. And the verse is "Here comes the Sun King," but it's "Here comes the Sun King," and it's in 8 bars. And then the bridge part of the song is "Everybody is laughing, everybody is happy," and it's 4 bars. And then there's an outro part, which is in, I guess, Spanish or Portuguese. "Quando pero mucho mi amore di felice corazon." That's 12 bars. And then "Sun King" is a verse, bridge, verse, outro, so real fast. And then that goes into track 11, which is "Mean Mr. Mustard." It's 1 minute and 6 seconds. It's a John Lennon tune again. And it's in the key of E major. Same as above, moderately in 4/4 time. And I think some of these tracks were recorded together. I forgot to make note. I should have made note, because it's actually pretty clear when you're listening to the album. But it segues so perfectly. It almost seems like they were recorded together. But it could be this one in the next song. But either way, uh, the verse is mean Mr. Mustard sleeps in the park, shaves in the dark, trying to save paper. It's 14 bars. He's singing about some cheap miser. And such a mean old man at the end of the verse, that's 4 bars of 6/8 time. That such a mean old man. That's part is different. It's in 6/8 time. But it's just two verses. It's a verse and verse. And then that goes into track 12, which is Polythene Pam. It's 1 minute and 12 seconds. It's a John Lennon tune, key of E major. So same key, bright, but it's a time change. It's in 4/4 time, but it's in cut time. So dun da 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 dun ba dun dun da 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 da. The verse is 10 bars of you should see Polythene Pam. She's so good looking, but she looks like a man. That's 12 bars, including the extra 2 bars at the end. So 10 bars plus 2 is 12 bars. And then there's a second verse, and then there's an outro of 20 bars of instrumental. But it's all ba 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 ba. You can really hear him playing this cool guitar part. And then track 13 is She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, which is 1 minute and 57 seconds, Paul McCartney. And I guess that actually happened to him. But someone tried to sneak in through his bathroom window, and or maybe his bedroom window, and he changed it. But he wrote a song about it in the key of A major, slowly in 4/4 time. The verse is, she came in through the bathroom window, protected by a silver spoon. It's an 8-bar verse. And the second verse is longer by 6 bars to... it extends out to 14 bars. I don't like the second verse as much because it seems like almost like he's trying to make it longer, and it doesn't work as well as the first verse. I don't know if you've ever had the same feeling about it, but that's kind of how I don't like the cadence of the second verse. The chorus is, didn't anybody tell her, didn't anybody see, Sunday's on the phone to Monday, Tuesday's on the phone to me, and that's an 8-bar chorus. And that's pretty much the song, verse, chorus, that second longer verse, and then repeat of the chorus. Track 14, and we're still in the medley, is Golden Slumbers. It's 1 minute 31 seconds. It's a Paul tune, and it's in the key of C major. It's moderate in 4/4 time. And the verse is, once there was a way to get back homeward. Once there was a way to get back home. It's a 12-bar verse, and then it has a big... I guess what you'd call a bridge. I think it's a bridge section, but Paul really is in his big piano man, singer-songwriter phase when he's golden slumbers fill your eyes. I just had a quick power outage. I'm not sure what that was. There we go. It flickered again. That's weird. Golden slumbers fills your eyes, smiles awake when you rise. 10 bars. That's the song. It's the verse and the bridge, or a chorus, whatever you think that is. But I think it seems more like a bridge. But either way, this is Paul in his big singer-songwriter mode, and it works. And then track 15 is Carry That Weight. We're still in the medley. It's 1 minute 36 seconds, very short, and this is like pulling back the main melody from You Never Give Me Your Money, but it adds strings to it, and it's very grandiose. So it's in key of C major, 4/4, and the chorus is, it starts with the chorus, boy, you're going to carry that weight, you're going to carry that weight a long time, and it's 8 bars. And then the break is a 8-bar instrumental break. But when I say it brings back the You Never Give You Your Money, it's in the verse part. So the verse is, I never give you my pillow, I only send you my invitations. It's like this sweet, endearing part of the song that pulls back the melody from You Never Give Me Your Money. And it's an 8-bar. And this is still sort of like Paul in his big singer-songwriter mode. It's a chorus break, chorus verse. and that's carry that weight. And then the end. And the end is literally the end of the medley. It's a Paul McCartney. It's 2 minutes 19 seconds. I've known this song forever because back in the day when Milwaukee Brewers baseball was on and Bob Uecker would come on the radio, this was like the theme song. I don't think he still does that. I haven't been listening to the Brewers in recent years, but in the 80s and 90s, that's what it was. It was and then welcome to Milwaukee Brewers baseball. It's in the key of C major, but the solos are in A major, and it's moderate in 4/4 time. The verse is, "Oh yeah, all right, are you gonna be in my dreams tonight?" And it's a 4-bar verse in C major, and then the drum solo kicks in. It's 14 seconds of Ringo thumping away on the bass and the snare. From 20 seconds to 34 seconds, it's 14 seconds total, or about 8 bars. And then it goes right into the guitar solos. And the key signature changes. It goes into the key of A major. And it's 24 bars of guitar solo. So a quick 53 seconds, but from 1 minute 28 seconds for a total of 35 seconds, or about 4 seconds each turn, okay? And it goes in the order of Paul, George, and John. And Paul and George sound like regular guitar solos, except George, Paul's playing this real bendy stuff, almost like, not quite like David Gilmour, but in the, it's real bendy. And then George is playing this like slide guitar solo. But what John is doing is John's playing this real crunchy sounding, almost like the song Revolution, like, and it just keeps rotating. Paul, George, John, Paul, George, John. The second verse comes in, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. It's 8 bars, and it changes to 6/8 time, which is why it feels so different than the other part of the song. But that's the end. And it's the end, really, it's the end of the album, and it's the end of the medley, and if you think about it, it's the end of the Beatles' career, and it's just those 2 verses with the drum solo and the guitar solos all wedged into it. And, Ringo didn't love doing solos, but he did it here, and that's what he gave us, and it's simple, but it works. It's on the money. Thanks, Ringo. Her Majesty is track 17. It's 23 seconds, and it's Paul McCartney. And it was, originally it was tucked into in the middle of the medley. I can't remember where, but more in the middle or in the beginning middle. But they realized it didn't work, so they pulled it out. They put it into the end, and it's almost like it's a secret track because it's after the end. You have to wait a little bit, and then Her Majesty kicks in. It's in the key of D major. It's 100 beats per minute and cut time, and it's 19 bars. And it's just like, I don't know. He's singing about the Queen, and I imagine she's a pretty fine girl or whatever. It's just, I don't know why they included it at all, but they did. So it's there. It's the end of the album. Even though it feels like the end is the end of the album, they just kind of snuck this in after the end. Now, in summary, Abbey Road. This is the final Beatles project, as I said, before 1995 when they came back. Of course, John Lennon died in 80, or like around 1980. He was shot in New York City outside of his apartment. But they in 95, Paul and George and Ringo came back, and they did Free as a Bird and Real Love for the Anthologies box set, which I have. It's this thing, and a series of discs with rarities and live sessions and stuff like that. I have a couple of those, but it's not great. And then they came back. Of course, this year they did the new song. I don't know if you've heard it. I didn't do a video on it, but I thought about it when it came up, and then I was like, man, it's not that great, but maybe you love it. I don't know. Okay, back to Abbey Road. This album has sold 19.9 million copies, just a shade under 2 million, 20 million, sorry. And it was the number two album in 1969 to Tommy by The Who, but it is ahead of Led Zeppelin 2, which came out that year, and it's ahead of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and it's ahead of Chicago 1, which really wasn't a big seller, but it's one of my favorites. But they all came out the same year. To many people, this is their favorite Beatles album. Um, it is really excellent. I mean, honestly, and there's something about the way this album that starts with "Come Together." To me, it's kind of a slow start, and I like. I mean, I like albums that just they come out hard charging right at the beginning. That's why this isn't my favorite. I've got it number three. It's close. Um, I've got Let It Be number one, but and I'll stick with that. But yeah, this is probably number three. I like Beatles 65 a lot. You know, if I stuck that in right now, I'd be tapping my foot, and I really like it. But back to this one. I digress. This is universally a 5-star album, or 10 out of 10 if you'd like. And progarchives.com, the consolidated user rating is a 4.49, almost a 4.5, which is higher than Yes, Fragile. Um, but okay, so that would put it in the top 10 if it qualified for their top 20 prog albums of all time. It's not really. It's kind of prog. It's proggy. It's straight rock, but it is proggy, and it's got, like I said, it's got psychedelic stuff like, well, I Want You, She's So Heavy, definitely has a psychedelic thing going on it, and Because, for sure, Because has a psychedelic tinge to it, twinge. Um, Mean Mr. Mustard and all these John Lennon songs do. Mr. Mustard and Polythene Pam. So it's proggy. It's not proggy like Close to the Edge or Fragile, but it's definitely there. And if it was more proggy and had a higher number of prog users, it would qualify. Like I said, it would be in their top 10 in progarchives.com. Okay, anyway, enough. Great album. Let's end it here. Next on the channel will be the Yes album, and then Let It Be. And then that'll close out the Beatles run for a while. And I'm sorry I've been away, but I've been gone and sick, and but I'm back, and everything's good. And I'll start working on the Yes album. The Yes album is cool. The Yes album is really cool, and I'll get on that right away. That'll be a fun one for me to do. And for you Yes heads, I know I got a bunch of Yes heads following me, so I'm sure I'll get on that right away. All right. Thanks everybody. I'm out.